Imagine you steal a loaf of bread. Today, maybe you get a fine. Maybe community service. Maybe a strongly worded letter from a magistrate who clearly went to law school but also clearly has never missed a meal. Now imagine you steal that same loaf of bread in ancient Persia. They cut off your hand. Not metaphorically. Not as a warning. Actually cut off your hand. And then, here's the part people don't tell you, they expected you to be grateful. Because the alternative was considerably worse. Ancient civilizations were deeply creative when it came to punishment. Disturbingly, impressively, almost admirably creative. And today we are going to tour all of them. Let's start in ancient Egypt, because Egypt always gets portrayed as this enlightened, beautiful civilization. Pyramids, cats, excellent eyeliner. And yes, sure. But Egypt also had a legal system that would make a modern judge genuinely uncomfortable. Tomb robbing was one of the most serious crimes you could commit. You weren't just stealing gold. You were disturbing the dead. You were interfering with someone's eternal soul. The punishment? Death, obviously. But first, 100 lashes. In public. While everyone watched. Then execution. But here's the detail that really gets me. Egyptian courts were actually quite sophisticated. There were judges, evidence, witnesses. You got a trial. You had a chance to defend yourself. And then they gave you 100 lashes anyway. The justice system existed. It just had a very specific idea of what justice looked like. Now, Persia. The Achaemenid Empire. One of the largest empires the ancient world had ever seen, stretching from Egypt to India. Incredibly advanced administration. Multiple languages, trade routes, religious tolerance. Also, Scaphism. I am going to describe Scaphism to you, and I need you to understand I did not make this up. Herodotus documented it. Multiple ancient sources confirm it. This was a real thing that real people did to other real people. The condemned person was stripped naked and strapped between two boats, like a human sandwich, with holes for their hands, feet, and head. Then they were forced to drink milk and honey until they had explosive diarrhea. Inside the boat. Then they were left floating on a stagnant pond. In the sun. The insects handled the rest. It took days. Sometimes weeks. The Persians called it the boats. Historians call it one of the most elaborate punishments ever devised. I call it the single strongest argument for not committing treason in 500 BC. Rome. The civilization that gave us roads, concrete, aqueducts, and the legal concept of innocent until proven guilty. Also the civilization that threw people to lions for public entertainment and considered it a fun Tuesday. But the Roman punishment I want to talk about is poena calae, which translates, beautifully, as the penalty of the sack. If you murdered a close family member, a parent, a sibling, the Romans did not simply execute you. They sewed you into a leather sack, along with a dog, a rooster, a snake, and a monkey, all alive. Then they threw the sack into a river. Why those 4 animals specifically? Historians have debated this for centuries. The leading theory is symbolic. Each animal represented a particular moral failure. The dog for shamelessness. The rooster for ingratitude. The snake for evil. The monkey for mockery of human nature, apparently. The monkey was in there for philosophy reasons. That's genuinely where we are. Rome had layers. Ancient China had one of the most formalized legal codes in the entire ancient world. The Tang Code, written in the 7th century CE, was a masterpiece of legal precision. Hundreds of articles. Detailed categories of crime. Proportional sentencing. It also included linkai. Linkai is usually translated as death by 1,000 cuts. And while the name sounds dramatic, the reality was considerably more dramatic than the name. Reserved for the most serious crimes, treason, killing a parent, it was a slow, methodical execution carried out in public, designed to extend as long as possible. The goal wasn't just to punish the criminal. It was to punish their soul. To send them into the afterlife incomplete. In Chinese cosmology, how you died mattered enormously for what happened to you next. Linkai wasn't just physical punishment. It was eternal punishment. It was the state reaching past your death and into your afterlife and saying, "We are not done with you yet." That's not justice. That's personal. The Aztecs had a legal system that modern historians genuinely respect. Judges were appointed for their wisdom and integrity. Bribery was illegal, and judges who took bribes were executed, which is a fairly effective deterrent. The Aztecs also had a specific punishment for public drunkenness. First offense, your head was shaved. In public. While everyone watched and pointed. The shame was the punishment. Second offense, your house was demolished. Not you. Your house. The building. The idea was that if you couldn't control yourself, you didn't deserve a home. Your family had to live with the rubble until you could prove you'd reformed. In a society where construction was genuinely hard labor, losing your house wasn't just embarrassing. It was catastrophic. The Aztecs understood something modern justice systems are still figuring out. Sometimes the most effective punishment isn't pain. It's consequence. Here's the thing about all of these punishments. They weren't random. They weren't just cruelty for cruelty's sake, though some of them were definitely that too. Each one reflected what that civilization valued most deeply. Egypt valued the afterlife above almost everything. So the worst crime was disturbing it. Rome valued family and social order. So the worst crime was breaking it. China valued cosmic continuity. So punishment extended beyond death. The Aztecs valued community stability. So the punishment destroyed your place in the community. The punishment told you what the society was afraid of losing. And if you want to understand what any civilization truly cared about, not what they said they cared about, not what they wrote on their monuments, look at what they punished. Look at what they couldn't forgive. That tells you everything. We like to think modern justice is more enlightened. And in many ways it genuinely is. But we still imprison people in cages. We still use solitary confinement. We still have executions. Future historians are going to look back at some of our practices the exact same way we looked at scaphism just now. And they are going to have questions.